I grew up with the philosophy that sport can help you become a better person. And I want to be remembered as somebody who used their tennis to impact other people. I'll take that. These are the courts I grew up playing on. When I was a kid, my dad and I, were looking for us or whatever, you knew we'd probably be out here on this first court.
Coco Gauff has signed a huge relationship with Rolex, one of the greatest sponsorship deals in tennis history. Let's just say that there was a strong response throughout the tennis community. While some players are pleased for her, others, let's just say a few grins seemed a bit fake. Tell me, is it just jealousy or is Coco's success making people uncomfortable? This morning, the news was released early. Coco Gauff and Rolex are formally partnering. Yes, that Rolex. The brand that exudes heritage, luxury, and prestige. The same one that has featured Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, and Roger Federer. Coco Gauff should now be included in that select group.
Tell me about your ambitions in tennis.
What do you mean?
And believe me when I say that the internet went berserk. Fans of tennis were excited. Her pictures were all over the media's timelines. In essence, the brand community declared, yeah, she's the future. However, not everyone was grinning because, at some point throughout the tour, a few golfers most likely choked on their protein shakes upon seeing the headline Coco Gauff x Rolex. And Aryna Sabalenka stands at the top of that list of muted reactions. Before everybody rushes, let me clarify that Aryna said nothing. However, tennis fans on the internet observed that she abruptly stopped talking after the news, which is amusing because she is typically rather active when significant stories come out. She is the type of player who shares information about her training, victories, brand partnerships, and grind. She doesn't hesitate to discuss such things. However, there was complete silence this time, and people took notice. The problem is that Coco's new partnership with Rolex involves more than just a sponsorship. It's a declaration. Rolex offers more than just relationships. They choose sportsmen who define eras, icons. Ever, Federer, Serena, and now Coco. That has some significance. It implies that they are investing in a legacy rather than just a player. And that's the interesting part. Because Aryna Sabalenka hasn't exactly received that level of recognition off the court despite her strength, awards, and unadulterated dominance. She is a Grand Slam champion and has a great ranking, but Coco has far more global influence, and it must hurt a little. The gap in how brands move is already apparent. Coco is already the face of Nike, New Balance, Barilla, Bose, and now Rolex, and she's not even at her best yet. She is all over the place. She's designed for this new generation of sports heroes, from fashion shows to magazine covers. Despite her skill, Aryna hasn't been able to shatter the same ceiling. It's not because she lacks talent, either. The reason for this is that Coco offers more than simply strength. She is a presence.
I remember she's about 5 or 6 years old and we were watching Australian Open. Serena wins. I remember saying, man, she's going to be the GOAT. And she said, what is the GOAT? I said, that's the greatest of all time. She's like, I want to be a GOAT. So I ran out and bought a racket. That's kind of how it all started.
The promo film was a big smash when Rolex published it. It was more than simply timepieces. It has to do with growth, family, and legacy. Coco was shown training on the same Delray Beach courts where she was raised in the beginning of the video. These are the courts I grew up playing on, she said in a voice you could hear. You may find my dad and me right here. The scene then shifts to her father remembering how, after seeing Serena succeed, she once expressed her desire to be a go-ahead. The spark that ignited everything at that precise moment was expertly captured by Rolex. It was not ostentatious. It wasn't really loud. It had significance. They narrated Coco's narrative as if it were being written in history. Growing up, I watched Serena, and now young girls follow her as a player.
I think I just enjoyed the fact that, everything is on your racket, your terms. My first tournament that I won, I was 8. It was Little Mo in New York City. It was the first time that we felt like I could do something far in this sport.
Since Coco doesn't have to make an effort to be sympathetic, it's a marketing marvel. You can relate to her. She is young but astute, self-assured but modest, competitive but grounded. Rolex is aware that she is the complete package. Fans on the internet began making analogies right away. While others continue to gripe about line calls, Coco is receiving Rolex discounts. A few players toss rackets. Coco signs agreements. Although the sarcasm was severe, it reveals how she is perceived by others. She is not your typical athlete. She represents the upcoming generation. Someone who possesses both grace and tenacity. And to be honest, it's not just about money, which is why jealousy strikes so quickly. It has to do with respect. Coco is now receiving the attention that others have been pursuing for years.
I was 10 in this picture. It was a big deal because to tell somebody you're a national champion, they think you're legit. When I kind of made my name in the sport at Wimbledon 2019, this is one of the dresses that I wore throughout.
It brings back memories of Serena's initial big Puma contract back in the day. She was also doubted by others, claimed that she was too young, too talkative, and too unique. However, Serena is now a corporate powerhouse. Some people are uncomfortable because Coco is traversing that same road. Let's be honest. Or has spent years grinding. She has spoken out about not always receiving equal recognition or attention. In interviews, she has even implied that sometimes appearance is more important than actual performance. It must be upsetting to see Coco land a Rolex deal at the age of 21.
It's remarkable. She's the youngest qualifier in history, and now she's about to compete against her idol, Venus Williams.
It felt like a storybook.
Her game is so calm and so focused.
I just remember not looking at the scoreboard the entire match because I didn't want to see her name. The hardest points of the match were the match points. It felt like I was holding my breath. I don't want to be known as the girl who got close.
Because Coco is more than simply a tennis player. She is a symbol of something greater. In the 1950s, her grandmother integrated schools. Her father created a dream factory out of vacant courts. She learnt tolerance and discipline from her mother. Coco is now putting all of that history into action. She is wearing more than just high-end clothing. She is altering the meaning of that luxury. Rolex's statement that they selected Coco because of her dedication to quality and morality wasn't made at random. Nowadays, brands demand that. Athletes who are more than just trophy winners. And Coco always carries that with her. She has discussed her family, her beliefs, and her conviction that you can use your racket to improve the world. These are not merely lovely quotations. Her entire concept is based on that. Companies want to connect themselves with that kind of attitude. The tennis community is watching this all happen in the meantime. Additionally, the whispers are almost audible. Why her? Why so quickly? Is it merely public relations? The solution is straightforward. It's because Coco understands. She is aware of what contemporary athletes are expected to be. Voices, not just winners. Icons as well as players. Without a question, Aryna is an amazing athlete. However, Coco possesses the unique capacity to enlarge everything she comes into contact with. When she succeeds, it's a cultural triumph as much as a personal one. Brands queue for her because of this. The icing on the cake is this collaboration with Rolex. Coco Gauff's official entry into elite area is confirmed by this. The burgeoning star is no longer her. The star is her. This is where it becomes humorous, though. Everything is inevitably turned into drama on the internet. In a matter of hours, followers were altering pictures, creating memes, and creating fictitious captions such as, Aryna checking her wrist. Like, there's still no Rolex. The memes were funny but cruel. Twitter even had a great time with tennis. Rolex signed Coco because her time is now, according to one post. Aryna's going to start wearing a Casio out of protest, someone else remarked. For you, that is the internet. Savage but true. Because, in reality, this is more than just a watch bargain. It has to do with timing. Coco has always had impeccable timing. She became one of the youngest athletes in history to sign a contract with Rolex after defeating Venus at the age of 15 and won her first Grand Slam. Her ascent is poetic in every way. She is a living example of how success comes easily when talent and genuineness are combined. Others are undoubtedly uncomfortable because she doesn't pursue it. Instead, it comes to her. Because Coco isn't out there trying to prove herself through loud interviews or begging for attention. The world notices that she simply works. Her true flex is that steady, composed confidence. She is counting blessings and, it seems, brand relationships while others are counting rankings. Furthermore, let's face it, Coco wasn't simply signed by Rolex because of her actions. They signed her for the upcoming project. She is the type of player who is still in the early stages of her career. She has at least 10 more years of supremacy ahead of her. Additionally, Rolex is aware of their desire to develop alongside her. This is the reason this bargain is so potent. The campaign is not short-lived. Coco isn't merely sporting a Rolex, therefore it's a long-term legacy decision. She wears a Rolex. Timeless, elegant, strong, and precise. And seeing that must be, to put it mildly, frustrating for someone like Aryna, who has been fighting for every last bit of respect. However, Coco deserved it. Each and every second of it. The instant the Rolex collaboration appeared on social media, the change was palpable. Coco's image was prominently featured on every tennis page, fashion account, and sports publication. It was more than an announcement. A takeover occurred. However, the deal itself wasn't the main topic of conversation. It was the response. Fans began drawing comparisons between it and the circumstances at Aryna Sabalenka within minutes. Timelines were flooded with comments like, Coco's getting global brand deals while Aryna's still fighting line judges. And, Aryna should start wearing a swatch now. It was classic online mayhem. Half truth, half joke. Because there is some friction between the two stars, whether or not fans acknowledge it. They are rivals. Coco's ascent has been swift, explosive, and well executed. Aryna's has been tough, sensitive, and well earned. Although both routes are legitimate, only one appears to receive the major marketing attention. And that distinction is quite painful. Power and unadulterated passion were the foundation of a Haas career. On the court, she is a formidable force. Nobody disputes that. However, Coco's career was built on her composure and strength. She is adept at managing fans, the media, and pressure. It feels normal for her to walk in front of the camera. Sometimes it feels forced when Aryna does. It's not shadow. That's the nature of branding. Therefore, it's not simply about outcomes when a corporation like Rolex, which is renowned for elegance and consistency, chooses someone to represent them. It has to do with perception. Additionally, Coco Gauff has an impeccable reputation. Class, history, and poise are things that Rolex adores. Coco possesses all three. She presents herself as a 21-year-old veteran in a 30-year-old body. She doesn't pursue drama. After a defeat, she doesn't post cryptic tweets. She simply works, succeeds, and smiles. And that's why envy is so powerful. Because Coco's composed success must appear effortless to athletes who are frequently ignored, even though it isn't. Remember that this arrangement didn't happen immediately. After one successful match, Rolex doesn't contact you. For years, they have been observing Coco. Ever since she defeated Venus Williams at the age of 15 during her 2019 Wimbledon run. On that day, Coco Gauff was introduced to the globe. Since then, she has developed a reputation that no amount of PR spin can match. That is what sets her apart from the others. Coco draws sponsorships while others pursue them. Brands want to be around athletes like her. She always expresses gratitude, respects her followers, speaks coherently, and wears nice clothes. She has never produced a dirty headline or been involved in a dispute. That's fantastic for a business like Rolex. Furthermore, Coco doesn't really deserve it. Her tale is a fantastic fit for the Rolex heritage. Built on punctuality, discipline, and accuracy. Recall her statement, "Sport can help you become a better person, from the campaign video. That is the type of cue that endures. She's not merely discussing awards. She is discussing development. And Rolex sells precisely that. Excellence attained through perseverance and hard work. Her father's voice was included in the advertisement, describing how she began as a young child who only wanted to play. Her early matches, courts, and old pictures were all visible. It was more than an advertisement. It was the best kind of storytelling. Naturally, the watch she wore, a delicate silver Rolex Oyster Perpetual, became the most talked about tennis accessory right away. This is when the irony comes in. Coco's Rolex post had 2 million likes, but Aryna's most recent training video only received 100,000. As if it were a competition, fans began comparing statistics. One fan described Coco 2M Aryna 100K consecutive sets as awful. However, it is symbolic rather than merely numerical. Rolex is a competitor. It's an indication that you're not just excellent, but legendary. It's conveying, we see you not just as a player, but as a timeless brand. Aryna is aware of this, which is likely why her silence was more powerful than any words. Aryna's love-hate relationship with the media is well known. She might be celebrating a title one moment and battling detractors who accuse her of being inconsistent or passionate the next. Coco, meanwhile, experiences the same pressure yet manages it with ease. Because of this distinction, businesses take note. To add to the intrigue, Coco's arrangement apparently includes a legacy initiative in addition to advertisements. Rolex will contribute to the funding of junior tennis programs that are motivated by Coco's statement, "You can change the world with your racket." That has a lot of power. She does more than simply cash checks. She is creating something enduring with her platform. She is emerging as the face of contemporary tennis for just this reason. Tennis gossip columns went crazy in the meantime. Headlines such as "Rolex chooses Gauff over older champions" and "Coco Gauff becomes Rolex's youngest female ambassador" began to appear everywhere. You know, some of the veterans who are still awaiting comparable acknowledgement must have felt hurt by it. However, Coco's ascent is evidence that players who strike a balance between skill and genuineness are the ones who will succeed in this new era of tennis. She's not attempting to pretend to be someone else. She's not pleading for approval. She is simply being Coco. And for some reason, that's enough to upend the whole sport. And since the irony is amusing, let's discuss timing. After Aryna stated in an interview that, "Sometimes I feel like people only focus on certain players," the agreement fell through. Yes, that did age quickly. Because Coco is over here gathering Rolex deals like merit badges while Aryna is complaining about being ignored. You see more than just a player when you watch Coco. You see a narrative. Even those who don't follow tennis can relate to her. She hosts at award events, appears on time covers, and now sports a Rolex watch because of this. She's going beyond the game. And that doesn't sit well with everyone. Because losing games isn't the only source of envy. It results from realizing that someone else is pursuing the ambition you believe to be your own. Her ascent continues to grow. To be honest, the jealousy is merely evidence of her progress. What are your thoughts? Is Coco the new face of tennis? Let us know what you think below. For more updates like this, click the like button and subscribe.